In this video, I'm going to talk about the cost of not budgeting. Maybe that you're not convinced that you need a budget and you think, well, if I don't have a budget, is it really going to lead to any repercussions that I don't like? So 4 costs that I think follow, in most cases, not having a budget. The first is a lack of financial peace. And I think that's a big deal. Because when you have a budget and you give every dollar a home, then you can spend with confidence. Let's say you've budgeted $15 for Netflix. You can watch Netflix with a confident heart and not say, can I afford this? Is this really good? You can reward yourself when you're watching your favorite show on Netflix with confidence. It leads to the peace of what you are spending your money on, and it leads to the elimination of this cloud that can kind of hang over you of you wondering, what's the next expense that I'm not prepared for? What have I forgotten? You ever have that feeling when you're packing and you're going on a trip, and maybe you don't use lists, you just pack what you think about, and you get in the car, and as soon as you hit the road, you're thinking, oh, what have I forgotten? It just feels like I've forgotten something. It's just kind of this cloud hanging over you. Budgeting can help to eliminate that cloud. It can help give you a sense of financial peace. And so if you don't budget, and if you really don't stay dialed into your finances, you're just always going to have this sense of angst, a lack of financial peace. A second cost that I'll share in not budgeting is getting into the cycle of perpetual credit cards. Because what happens if you're spending more than you make, remember the ultimate goal of budgeting is just to spend less than you make. And credit cards will allow you to circumvent that, allow you to cheat. Because credit cards are a temporary loan that you have to pay off somewhere down the road, somewhere in the future. And that can be a long time in the future. And once you've gotten used to that pattern and you've funded the deficit, we talk about deficits with our federal government, and there's a lot of talk right now about us spending more as a country than we have coming in. We call that a deficit. Same thing happens with us individually. And if you have a deficit for long enough, it will eventually catch up with you. And credit cards are often what folks use to fund that difference. And if you're not careful, you'll just be in a perpetual cycle of always having a credit card balance. You don't have to have a credit card balance. I want to say that again. Although I've said in previous videos that credit cards can be advantageous at times, you do not have to have a credit card balance at all times. Debt is a tool, not a way of life. And so I don't want to see you get into this constant hamster wheel of always having a credit card balance, not really being able to dig out of it. So that's a second cost to not budgeting that you're more prone to. All right. A third is a higher cost of things. When you do buy things, if you're constantly having to rely on a credit card or financing, then it costs you more to have that. And over time, that cost will really begin to build up. And it actually keeps you from being able to buy as much as you might want, because so much of it is committed to things that may have high interest rates. So that's a third cost of budgeting. If you do have to borrow to fund the difference between spending more than you're making, then it ends up just costing you more in the long run. And you'd actually be better off to save and wait and then buy than to buy first and then save later. All right. The fourth reason, the fourth cost, I should say, to not budgeting could be bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a really tough place to be because it can set you back from being able to borrow any money for quite a while. Bankruptcy is a legal reorganization of your debts or discharging of your debts. That might sound good at first because it feels like it's going to bring relief, but it's got long-term financial implications that can be hard to get out from under. So not having a budget, it's not guaranteed that you'll have all 4 of those experiences, but those are all potential costs that you might have if you don't have a budget. So all the more reason to have one, right?